Have you ever watched a family fall apart right before your eyes? Not in a movie, but in real life, on national television? Imagine growing up in a house full of siblings, laughter echoing down the hallways, only to wake up one day and realize the person you called Dad barely knows you anymore. That's the reality for the Brown kids, the children of Kody Brown from Sister Wives. The heartbreak isn't just a storyline, it's their actual lives, unraveling in front of millions. The man who once promised to be a father to 18 children now finds himself a stranger to most of them, and the pain is written all over their faces. The distance isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's raw, and it's tearing this once united family apart. Hi friends, I'm Aliva, and you're watching TLC's Sister Wives Secret. If you care about the real stories behind the headlines, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Because I want to know, do you think a father can ever truly come back from this kind of heartbreak? Let's get into the truth behind the Brown family's biggest secret. When Sister Wives first hit our screens, the Brown family looked like something out of a modern-day fairy tale. If your idea of a fairy tale includes 4 wives, 18 kids, and a dad who swore he could keep everyone happy under one roof. TLC introduced us to Kody Brown, his wives Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robin, and their sprawling, energetic family. They laughed together, celebrated birthdays, and faced the world's judgment as a united front. The show painted a picture of a family that, despite its unconventional structure, was held together by love, faith, and a commitment to making polygamy work in a world that didn't always understand them. For years, viewers watched as the Browns navigated everything from moving states to legal battles, always coming back to the idea that, no matter what, family came first. But as the seasons rolled on, cracks started to show. The laughter grew quieter, the smiles more forced. Kody, once the center of this whirlwind family, began to drift away from the very children he claimed to cherish. The unity that once defined the Browns started to unravel, and the cameras caught every uncomfortable moment. Suddenly, the man who prided himself on being a present, loving father was missing from key moments in his children's lives. The family dinners became tense, the conversations more guarded, and the sense of togetherness faded into something much more complicated. Behind the scenes, the reality was far from the picture-perfect family we saw in the early seasons. Kody's relationships with his kids grew strained, especially as he seemed to favor one household over the others. The shift was impossible to ignore, and it left the children and the viewers wondering what happened to the family that once promised to stick together, no matter what. If there's one person in the Brown family who refuses to stay silent, it's Gwen Brown. Gwen, Christine's daughter, has become the voice so many fans didn't know they needed. She's not just another face in the sea of Brown siblings. She's the one who's pulled back the curtain and let us see what's really happening behind closed doors. While the show gives us edited glimpses, Gwen's YouTube channel and social media have become a place for raw honesty, where she doesn't sugarcoat her feelings or protect anyone's image, not even her own father's. Gwen's willingness to speak out started gaining attention when she began reacting to Sister Wives episodes on her channel. She didn't just recap what happened, she gave her unfiltered reactions, sometimes pausing to process her own emotions, sometimes laughing at the absurdity, and sometimes tearing up when the pain hit too close to home. In one video, a fan asked about her relationship with Kody, and Gwen didn't hesitate. She admitted that her connection with her dad was almost non-existent and that she wasn't the only one feeling that way. She talked about how Kody's absence wasn't just a matter of physical distance, but a deep emotional gap that had grown over the years. One of the most powerful moments came when Gwen addressed the situation with her sister Isabel's back surgery. Fans will remember how Isabel needed major surgery, and Kody chose not to travel with her, citing COVID concerns. Gwen didn't hold back her disappointment. She explained how much that hurt not just Isabel, but the whole family. She said it was a clear sign of where they stood in their father's priorities. Gwen's honesty about that moment struck a chord with viewers who had watched the episode and felt the same frustration. But it's not just about calling out her dad. Gwen also shares the confusion and sadness that comes with feeling abandoned by a parent. She's talked about overhearing Kody blame Christine for turning the kids against him and how unfair that felt. Gwen has made it clear that the distance isn't about one parent poisoning the kids. It's about years of feeling overlooked and unsupported. She's even admitted that she and some of her siblings encouraged Christine to leave Kody, not out of spite, but out of a desperate hope for something better. What makes Gwen's perspective so powerful is her vulnerability. She doesn't pretend to have all the answers, and she doesn't hide her pain. Fans have rallied around her, leaving comments of support and sharing their own stories of complicated family relationships. Gwen's courage to speak her truth has made her a beacon for anyone who's ever felt invisible in their own family. She's not just telling her story. She's giving a voice to every Brown child who feels left behind. The pain of feeling neglected by a parent isn't something that just fades away, and for the Brown kids, it's become a constant shadow over their lives. Gwen isn't the only one who's spoken up. Her siblings have lived through their own moments of heartbreak, and the cameras have captured more than a few of them. One of the most unforgettable examples is Isabel's back surgery. Fans who watched that season will never forget the look on Isabel's face when she realized her dad wouldn't be there for her. She was about to undergo a major operation, something that would scare any teenager, and the one person she hoped would show up for her decided to stay home. Kody said it was because of COVID, but for Isabel, it felt like a clear message. She wasn't a priority. The show didn't shy away from the raw emotion of that moment. Isabel tried to put on a brave face, but you could see the disappointment and hurt in her eyes. Christine, her mom, was there every step of the way, but nothing could fill the space left by Kody's absence. The other siblings watched it all unfold, and it wasn't lost on them. They saw how their sister was hurting, and they felt it too. It wasn't just about one surgery. It was about a pattern of being let down, of waiting for their dad to show up and realizing he probably wouldn't. This sense of abandonment didn't just affect Isabel. Over time, more and more of the Brown kids started to feel like they were on the outside looking in. Some of them tried to reach out, hoping for a connection, but were met with silence or excuses. Others pulled away, protecting themselves from more disappointment. The family gatherings that used to be filled with laughter and chaos became tense, with certain siblings sticking closer together while others drifted off. The divide wasn't just between the kids and Kody, it started to show up between the siblings themselves as they each tried to process their own pain in different ways. What's heartbreaking is how these kids, who grew up in a house that preached unity and togetherness, now find themselves struggling to trust not just their father, but sometimes each other. The emotional fallout is real. Some siblings have become each other's lifelines, leaning on one another for support and understanding. Others have retreated, unsure how to bridge the gap that's grown between them and the rest of the family. The show has given us glimpses of these moments. Awkward silences, forced smiles, and the kind of sadness that lingers long after the cameras stop rolling. For the Brown kids, the struggle isn't just about missing their dad. It's about trying to hold on to each other when the foundation of their family feels like it's crumbling beneath their feet. If you've been watching Sister Wives over the past few seasons, you've probably noticed a shift that's impossible to ignore. Kody Brown, once the father who tried to juggle time and affection between 4 wives and 18 kids, now seems to orbit almost exclusively around Robyn and her children. The change didn't happen overnight, but it's become more obvious with every episode. The reasons are layered, but a big turning point came during the COVID pandemic. Kody set strict rules for the family, insisting that only those who followed his guidelines to the letter could see him. Robyn and her kids were the only ones who fully complied, and as a result, they became his main, sometimes only, household. This wasn't just about health and safety. The show made it clear that Kody's rules went beyond what was recommended, and the other wives and their children struggled to keep up. Janelle and Christine, in particular, pushed back, wanting their kids to have some normalcy and connection with friends. Kody's response was to double down, refusing to visit or spend time with anyone who didn't follow his exact instructions. The message was clear: fall in line or lose access to your father. For many of the kids, it felt like an impossible choice, and most of them ended up on the outside looking in. The favoritism didn't stop with the pandemic. Even before COVID, fans noticed that Kody seemed to spend more time with Robyn and her children. He was present for their milestones, involved in their daily lives, and quick to defend them in family arguments. In contrast, his relationships with his other kids grew more distant. There are episodes where you can see the difference plain as day. Kody laughing and joking with Robyn's kids, while barely making eye contact with the others. When the family gathered for important discussions, Kody often sided with Robyn, sometimes dismissing the concerns of his other wives and children. This pattern of favoritism has only deepened the sense of isolation felt by the rest of the family. The kids who don't live with Robyn have watched their dad become a guest in their lives, showing up less and less, and when he does, the interactions are awkward and strained. The emotional distance is just as real as the physical one. For the children who once believed their dad would always be there, the reality is a painful reminder that love and attention in the Brown family aren't spread equally. The show has captured these moments: awkward family meetings, tense conversations, and the quiet heartbreak of kids who just want their dad to notice them. Kody's choices have drawn a line through the family, and for many of his children, it feels like they're on the wrong side. The unraveling of the Brown family didn't just happen between Kody and his kids. It was mirrored in the heartbreak and eventual departures of 3 of his wives. Christine was the first to make the leap, and her decision sent shockwaves through the entire family. Fans will remember the raw, emotional scenes where Christine finally admitted she couldn't stay in a marriage where she felt unloved and unappreciated. Her courage to walk away wasn't just about her own happiness. It was about setting an example for her children, showing them that they deserved more than broken promises and empty gestures. The pain in her voice, the tears in her eyes, those moments were impossible to forget. Janelle's split from Kody came next, and while her approach was quieter, the impact was just as profound. Janelle had always been the practical one, the steady hand in the chaos, but even she reached a breaking point. The show captured her frustration as she tried to reason with Kody, only to be met with stubbornness and blame. When she finally chose to step away, it was clear she was doing it for her own peace and for her kids who had watched their mother struggle for years. Mary's departure was the slowest burn, but no less significant. After years of feeling sidelined and emotionally abandoned, Mary finally accepted that her marriage to Kody was over. The scenes where she confronted the reality of her situation were some of the most gut-wrenching in the series. Each wife's decision to leave didn't just change their own lives. It left the children with even less of a connection to their father. The family, once held together by the idea of unity, was now scattered, and the kids were left to pick up the pieces, often feeling more alone than ever. The wives' choices to leave were a turning point, and for the children, it marked the beginning of a new chapter, one defined by distance, uncertainty, and the search for healing. The emotional fallout from all this upheaval has been impossible to hide, even for a family used to living in front of the cameras. The disappointment and frustration run deep, not just for the children, but for the ex-wives who spent years trying to hold everything together. You can see it in the way the kids talk about their dad now. There's a sadness, a sense of loss that goes beyond just missing someone. It's the pain of realizing that the person who was supposed to be your biggest supporter has become a stranger. In one unforgettable scene, Isabel breaks down in tears, struggling to understand why her father wouldn't be there for her when she needed him most. The cameras catch Christine comforting her, but there's only so much a mother can do to fill that void. Janelle's kids have voiced their own frustrations, sometimes on camera, sometimes in quiet moments that make it clear just how much they're hurting. The confusion is written all over their faces as they try to make sense of a family that once promised unconditional love. Even Robin's children, who have more of Kody's attention, aren't immune to the tension that seeped into every corner of the family. The ex-wives, too, have shown their heartbreak. Christine's tears, Mary's quiet resignation, Janelle's exhausted sighs. These are the real moments that tell the story behind the headlines. But maybe, just maybe, there's hope in the honesty. Gwen's courage to speak out, the wives' decisions to choose themselves, and the kids' resilience all show that healing is possible, even if it's messy and slow. I want to hear what you think. Do you believe the Browns can ever find their way back to each other? Have you experienced something similar in your own family? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Please subscribe channel.